cozy 1950s American living room, complete with a floral printed couch, wooden side tables, a lace doily over the TV, a chubby round television with static on screen, a golden lamp casting soft yellow light. The scene is warmly lit in a nostalgic watercolor style with grainy magazine texture, evoking memories of simpler times. A black and white kitchen scene from the 1940s, showing a mother in a polka dot dress stirring a pot on a pastel green gas stove while a child plays with a wooden airplane in the corner. The cabinets are rounded and metal trimmed, with checkered linoleum floors, captured in retro soft-toned colors with cinematic warmth. A 1970s suburban backyard barbecue scene with a dad wearing plaid shorts and white socks standing next to a big steel charcoal grill, kids playing with a slip and slide, and a mother serving lemonade in glass jars. The sky is golden hour orange, filtered with a watercolor effect of grainy texture. A 1960s American diner interior with red leather booths, chrome-edged tables, a jukebox in the corner playing oldies, a waitress in a pastel pink uniform serving a burger and shake combo. The mood is lively, the color palette classic Americana with warm lighting and vintage illustration style. A 1930s street corner showing a row of vintage shops, a soda fountain bar, and children playing marbles on the sidewalk while a delivery boy pedals past on a bicycle with a basket. Storefront signs in faded painted fonts, all illustrated with soft brush strokes and nostalgic film warmth. A living room from the 1950s centered around a large wooden radio console, with a father tuning the knobs and a family gathered closely listening to a broadcast. Sepia-toned palette, cozy and grainy like an old magazine. A 1940s office desk featuring a clunky typewriter with paper mid-typed, surrounded by rotary phones, stacks of paper, and an ashtray. The lighting is moody, from a green banker's lamp, warm retro ambiance. A smiling secretary in a 1960s office typing away at an IBM Selectric typewriter, wearing a light blue skirt suit, paper files stacked high with large computers in the background humming quietly, pastel office colors, slightly faded watercolor aesthetic. A dusty attic scene where a 1970s reel-to-reel tape recorder sits forgotten next to a crate of vinyl records, old family photos, and vintage headphones. Dust motes in sunlight, soft nostalgic feel. A classroom from the 1980s with a clunky overhead projector casting a math diagram on a whiteboard, a teacher in suspenders pointing at it, kids in colorful 80s clothes taking notes. Scene drawn in warm tones with light grain and soft edges. A close-up of a boxy 1980s cassette recorder on a bedroom dresser playing a mixtape besides stacked cassettes with handwritten labels and a lava lamp glowing softly. Warm bedroom lighting, retro textures. A cheerful 1970s kid in flared jeans holding up a red Viewmaster to their eyes in the backyard with tall grass and a picket fence behind. Playful and sunny, hand-painted feel. A 1950s child playing with a wind-up tin robot toy on a living room rug, parents smiling in the background with a drink in hand. Soft pastel colors, subtle grain texture, and watercolor style. A 1960s teenager sitting in a beanbag chair flipping through Polaroids, just developed from an instant camera, shag carpet beneath them and lava lamp glowing nearby. The whole vibe is dreamy and retro. A 1980s toy shelf scene showing Teddy Ruxpin mid-talking, with My Little Pony, Light Bright, and Rubik's Cube scattered around. Childlike color palette, hand-drawn retro aesthetic. A 1950s garage workshop with an old man soldering parts of a broken tube television, wires spilling everywhere, shelves lined with radios and electrical tools, yellow lamp overhead casting shadows, worn-down charm in vintage style. A 1970s science fair with a student showcasing a Van de Graaff generator, hair standing on end, excited classmates and poster boards in the background. Mid-century high school gymnasium feel with watercolor softness. A 1940s telephone switchboard operator plugging lines in a giant wooden console, wearing a headset with a calm face, wires everywhere. Scene is sepia-toned, gentle film grain style. A 1950s neighborhood scene with milk bottles delivered at every doorstep. A milkman in uniform waving at kids on bikes, sunny morning glow, pastel houses, and grainy texture for nostalgic effect. A 1960s car dashboard showing analog knobs, chrome trim, a classic AM radio station playing, with gloved hands steering through a tree-lined road. A a smooth cinematic moment frozen in watercolor detail. A 1970s kitchen drawer open to reveal recipe cards written in cursive, next to a rotary egg beater, colorful measuring cups and flour dust. Cozy soft colors, vintage food mag aesthetic. A 1980s living room featuring a giant wooden entertainment center, complete with a VHS player, stacks of tapes, and kids sitting cross-legged watching a cartoon. Carpet texture visible, warm retro glow. A 1960s basement with a linoleum-topped bar and wall-mounted bottle openers. A group of friends in bowling shirts playing cards. Deep warm tones, nostalgic retro magazine mood. A 1950s laundry room with a wringer washer chugging next to a clothesline strung across the room. Sunlight coming through small basement windows, drawn in soft pastel tones, watercolor shadows. A neighborhood scene in the 1980s with kids crowding around an ice cream truck with jingling music, exchanging coins, big smiles. Bright, cheerful lighting, soft grain and summer feel. A 1930s rural house kitchen where a hand-cranked coffee grinder sits on a wooden table, beans in a cloth sack beside it, muted tones, calm and slow-paced scene. A 1950s black and white photo-style scene of a couple dancing to vinyl in their living room. Furniture pushed aside, laughter frozen in motion. Subtle watercolor grays and browns. A 1970s elementary classroom with a globe chalkboard showing multiplication tables and a slide projector mid-click. Hand-drawn feel with warm classroom light. A 1980s teenage bedroom with a boombox blasting music, posters of pop stars on the wall, jean jacket draped over a chair. Neon accents softened by warm watercolor effect. A garage sale scene from the late 1960s, where tables overflow with dusty gadgets, rotary phones, lava lamps, transistor radios, and curious shoppers browse under a blue sky. Vintage community vibe, gentle film texture. A 1960s beach scene with kids building sandcastles using tin buckets, a family setting up a colorful umbrella, transistor radio playing music softly nearby. Nostalgic family vacation feel. A 1950s barbershop interior with spinning red-white pole outside, leather chairs, men reading newspapers, a barber with slick-back hair trimming carefully, warm wooden paneling, subtle soft grain. A 1970s drive-in theater with cars parked facing a giant movie screen, teenagers on car hoods eating popcorn, and the movie casting light on the crowd. Drawn in faded night tones with warm highlight glows. A 1940s small-town train station with families waving goodbye, old suitcases on wooden benches, and a steam train releasing smoke. Emotion-rich, painted with watercolor softness. A 1950s living room scene on Christmas morning with kids unwrapping toys like slot car tracks and dolls, a shiny aluminum tree sparkling nearby, rich, warm palette with vintage greeting card texture.